Right, let's jump into the tutorial. Let me want that one, and we want to do that. So I've prepped up some of my supplies ready to go. You will have to excuse me as well. I am getting over a cold. I don't have a cold. Well, I do. I'm getting over it. But yeah, if my voice sounds a bit scratchy and a bit gravelly. So I've prepped up some materials. Now, I don't know about you, but if you've ever made a quilt, you're more than likely going to have some excess batting. Now, you can use insulating batting. Firmalam, I think, is one of the makes. But I am just using a cotton batting, 100% cotton. And I've doubled it up because I want a bit of thickness. I've got 2 layers there. I've chosen a little design that I'm going to have as my feature design. This is from Makawa fabric. I think it was last year or the year before. I really liked it. I had it from my stash. So I'm also going to use one of my Kylie and the Machine labels from the stash on there, which if you've seen the Kylie and the Machine advent calendar unboxing, you will have seen that from there as well. So what have I got? I have got 1 layer of cotton underneath, right side out. On top of that, I've got 2 layers of batting. Then I've got my feature piece. Then I have cut out strips to go around my feature piece. This is Quilt-as-you-go, so I will show you how I do that as we go. I have got 6. Sorry, I've got 6 of each strip. So I've got 2, 4, 6 of the red candy cane, candy stripe. Then I have got a fairy light one, and then I have got more of the stars, which is the backing, which also kind of matches that too. I've also pre-cut and pressed some bias binding, and I have cut this on the bias. You're going to need it on the bias because of how we're making the shape. So you definitely want to cut it on the bias. If you don't know how to cut something on the bias, you literally take your fabric. Imagine this is your fabric rolled out. Obviously it's going to be a lot bigger than this. You then fold it edge to edge so that you have a triangle, a diagonal line going across the middle, and then there's a triangle there, right? Then you want to cut along here. Once you've got that cut, imagine that that piece has been taken away. You then want to cut off a strip here, and then that will be ready to go into your bias maker that you use, which is somewhere here. Where did I put it? I did have a bias tape maker. How did I pop it in there? Put in your bias tape maker, which you then press, and it kind of comes out like pasta at one end, and you have your bias tape. Okay, so you do want to cut it on the bias for this. So I've got that all prepped. If I had some spray basting, I would use that. I don't, so we're going to be using pins the old-fashioned way. You're also going to want to have a plate or bowl, and that is going to be your shape, which is why we need the bias tape to be cut on the bias, because we're going to want it to go around this curve. And I'm going to show you a little nifty way that I just discovered of how to bend the bias so that it's ready to sew on, but we'll get there. Okay, so I have cut out my batting and my backing fabric to be slightly bigger. I'm trying to show you a bit more. Slightly bigger than my plate, okay, because sometimes it does shrink a bit when we're quilting. So I'm going to get rid of my plate for a second, and somewhere to put it without it falling and crashing onto the floor. And I'm going to place my little guy in the middle as much as I can, and I'm going to grab some pins. And I'm going all the way through. So remember, we've got the backing fabric right side out, then we've got 2 layers of our batting, and then we've got our central piece. And I do want to make sure that that is in the center as much as I can, and pop some pins in there. Then we're going to get our strips. Now these strips I didn't tell you the measurement of, did I? Do I have? Why is it when you have millions of tape measures you can never find one? Is that just like a given. Find one of my millions of tape measures. It's not like I didn't get any in the advent calendars, is it? Right, I've got a tailor's one here with a metal end, but never mind, it's all good. Right, so these strips measure 34 centimeters. I'm almost certain I'm not going to need those, and they are about 5 centimeters wide. I've made them all very similar. There might be 4.5. No, they're all about 5 wide. And the other thing that I have prepped up is I have got a little hexagon, and I have just done this on Illustrator, so you can find any hexagon online that fits your featured image in the middle. You don't even have to print that out, it's just an idea to give you a bit of a guide to sew to. So I am going to just draw around that hexagon. My hand's in the way, isn't it? I'm going to draw around that hexagon with a friction pen as best I can. Doesn't have to be mega super accurate, but it's nice if it can be as accurate as possible. Put those out the way. So I'm just using my friction pen. I'm actually wondering if chalk would have been better, but we'll see how we go. Chalk might have been a better move for this because we're going to need to iron it, but you know what, we can finger press it if we need to. Okay, so I've got my hexagon on there. Pop that out the way, I don't need that anymore. You see that? Then we're going to grab our strips. Now what we're going to do is we're going to place it on. I'm actually going to move that pin to the middle. And we're going to place that on, and we're going to stitch along that line. Now you need to think about how much seam allowance you want on these strips. I'm going to do it so that it's about one kind of stripe over. And I'm going to sew it so that it's just a little bit past that next line, because the other one's going to go over the top. Okay, so I'm going to move us over to the machine. And we're going to sew that in place. And this, once you get this technique down, this is such a cool technique for so many things, because it's all woven fabrics as well. It's not going to move around too much. I've also got my walking foot on, always got my walking foot on. I'm going to start there. Got a 2.5 stitch length. Now I should add, I'm not actually a quilter, so that's another reason why I just like playing with these kind of things. This is a super simple project. You don't have to be a quilter to do these things, guys. You know, don't let a label put you off. I'm predominantly a bag maker, but originally I am a creature costume maker for film and TV, so very different. Okay, so now I've done that, can you see I'm pushing that up? I'm almost on that line. You can see it a little bit, doesn't matter, it's a friction pen, it's going to come off. Grab my next strip, try not to move the camera too much. Then I'm going to lay my next one, and I'm going to make the top meet the top edge of that strip. Okay, and I'm going to lay it on, and again I want it about the strip. Now I need to make sure, of course, I have not done myself any favours. I have done it so that my stripes is going to be a little bit tricky, but it's all going to be fine. So I'm going to lay that on again, and again we're matching up that top edge. And I did just cut the strips kind of roughly, so maybe that we want to cut some of these down. We'll see how we go. or just stitch over them. If you've just joined the stream as well, hello and welcome. This is currently live on Thursday, the 8th of December, and we are making a hot pad. Please don't forget to hit that like button, guys. It really helps other people to be notified. It just helps all around. Yeah, so we're going to cast off there. And we're going to finger press that open. Now, because I like a bit of symmetry, actually, what should we do? Should we go, let's go the next strip there, next strip there, next strip there. Yeah, let's keep going that way. The other thing is we could go around and then we could tuck that one in underneath as well. So my strips are definitely too long, so you don't need to cut them that long. At the end I will pop all the measurements in the description as well. Always tricky when you're going live because there's going to be lots of bits that you want to fast forward, so I want to make it as easy as possible if you're watching this on replay and you're sewing along. Okay, so I'm matching that up again. Some ways it helps to have the stripes there. No, see, I only did it differently. Actually, I want that red to frame. I'm not going to be able to, am I? Because that strip. I wonder if I've got, let's see, we might have enough to have excess. I'm going to try and match it as much as I can. So I'll use that one there. Match that up. I'm matching up that top edge. Starting there. Now I want to move that pin out of the way, don't I? In fact, I'll use that down there. Has anybody been making gifts already for Christmas? Do let me know in the comments below. I must admit, I've not had the time to make anybody's gifts. I'm going to stop there. So if there's any family watching, I'm sure that won't surprise you though. Okay, so I've just finger pressed that open. Can you see where we're going? Then, have I got another one? Yes, I do. I can use, because I'm going with that red stripe matching. Okay, I'm matching up that end again. This is going to make a really cool feature. I think when you're doing these kind of hot pads, you either need to just do stripes going across, which would be even easier, or you need to do something like this with a feature middle. Oh, that's on the edge, that one. Hoping you can still see and hear me. It looks like it's stopped, but then it's also telling me I've got excellent connection, so I don't know what's going on. Right, I've pushed that open there. In fact, what I might do, just to double check, is do something 1 second. Right. Oh, it does look like it's stopped. Do let me know that it's still working. Are we still live? Is it all a little bit juddery? Don't know if you guys are still there or not. It's all going so well tonight, isn't it? I'm going to cut off that excess bit there. It looks like it's stopped. I don't know what YouTube is doing. I'm going to cut off that excess there because I want another bit of that. Okay, looks like we've started again. I've put it on my phone to check. Can't see any comments, so I can see still live but a bit glitchy. Yes, I know. I don't know what is going on with YouTube. Right, we'll carry on though. We will see how far we get. There I was thinking that YouTube was much better than Facebook to go live on. How wrong I was. Okay, so we're framing that really nicely now. Got a bit to go there. I'm going to chop off a bit of that one. Steal it for the last bit so that I can keep that nice red frame. We may not need many more strips. Let's see. We want to match that up there. And then if I do it like that, you know what would be nice is if that went under there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just quickly unpick a couple of those stitches. If I can find some scissors. So I've got everything but little scissors. Brilliant. That's alright, we'll use these. Not as easy. There we go. Okay, so I've pulled back those stitches there, so that then what I'm going to do is I'm going to match that up there, go along that line that I've drawn, pull that back and continue along, and then I'm hoping that will give a really nice continuous look. Would it help if I pulled out a bit? Maybe it would. Still on, but a bit jumpy. Oh, it's rather frustrating. We shall hope it fixes that. I'm hardwired in, so I don't know what is going on. It must be something to do with the streaming software, sending it to YouTube. I may have to stop and start if it stays being crazy. Okay, so I've just gone past where that original line was. Excuse me. Push that open and then we can you see that's given a really nice continuous line now. You see that? That's cool, isn't it? Pleased with that. I could probably open that up and stitch that, but it's going to be a bit tricky, so I'm going to leave that as that is, and then in a little bit I'm going to top stitch around to keep that bit down. Is it still really glitchy? Would it be better if I stopped and started again? Well, I'm really liking that so far. What I'm going to do, actually, I don't think I will use the light bulbs. I think I will just use this next it. Or do we go with it? Maybe we go with it. Might be a bit crazy if we go against it, eh? Okay, let's go with it. I'm going to follow the edge of this red stripe here, and because we need to leave that as a flap like we did last time, I'm gonna leave it long, but I'm gonna start here. I can just about, I don't know if you can see through it, but I can just about think it's okay to carry on. Okay, I can just about see the red line underneath. And I'm going to follow and go along here, and I'm using about a 1/2 centimetre seam allowance, and I'm going to stop just past, where am I going to stop? I'm going to stop here. So remember, we're not stitching on this bit, we've left quite a bit free because at the end we want to tuck that under.